Well, 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 it looks like we are now live. Very good. So, I want to take a few moments here to talk about this most recent news updates we've seen. Of course, it's a little bit horrifying. There's apparently these bounties that are being put on ICE leadership, ICE agents, and they are coming from the Mexican drug cartels. You may have seen the news on this recently. And so I wonder, can Donald J. Trump specifically, can he do an Obama to Mexico's ISIS? If you know what I mean, huh? If you know what I mean, we've seen it happen to the boating situations. So it only makes sense that we see a little bit more effort being put into the protection of United States employees here. It's a real tough situation. So I want to take this moment because it was recommended to do a live stream. So I figure, okay, I'll go ahead and do a live stream here. This has been an interesting week. Of course, today marks the 4-week or exactly 1 month anniversary to the day that Charlie Kirk met his tragic and terribly inappropriate, in the extreme least, end. So that's on people's minds. Of course, Jack Posobiec just announced a couple of days ago that there's going to be a special patriotic alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show. That'll be pretty interesting. There's a lot happening right now, even amidst the government shutdown. Jack, of course, was just at the special Antifa panel, kind of roundtable situation there with Donald J. Trump, President, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and others. Andy No, NGO, was there. There's probably a joke in there somewhere, along with Nick Sortor. I spent about an hour and a half or so with Nick in the car on a ride to an undisclosed location last year. Real deal. Real deal. Real chill. You can learn a lot about somebody on just simple car ride like that. So I quite like Nick, and it's good to see him doing well and succeeding, etc., etc. Now, I do want to take this opportunity, giving this daily persuasion live stream. I think this is the first live stream, and I think I'll do some more. I want to take this opportunity to talk about some of the manipulation techniques that we're seeing this particular week, and also point out the fact that manipulation gets a really bad rap. Okay, it's different from persuasion. So persuasion is a win-win. Okay, it's where you convince someone to say yes to the thing that you want them to do, and you have to do it with honesty, with ethics, with integrity. Here's this valuable thing, and here's your valuable thing. Let's trade. It's sort of scaled up bartering. That's really what persuasion is. And it's focusing on the value of the thing according to the other person's perspective. So here's all the things that my thing does, or here's what I would like you to do, and here's all the ways that it benefits you. And they get to, using their agency, opt into it. That's persuasion. Okay. Manipulation is where you add the perception of value to your thing without offering actual tangible value. It's blowing up, it's inflating the value of something according to their perception so that they'll buy it, they'll buy into it, they'll say yes. And then once the deal is done, you scoot, scram, or otherwise scuttle away from the thing that was actually going to be offered. Okay. So it's a bit of a bait and switch. We see that. And that's not the only manipulation technique. Other manipulation techniques are where you cause the other person to feel like they don't have any other choice, where they're stuck. You'll often hear the word gaslighting used a lot in the context of manipulation. And gaslighting, that's where you cause the other person, the target of the manipulation, to doubt their own reality and adopt yours. That's kind of what gaslighting is. It's not lying to somebody. It's not trying to trick somebody. It's not manipulating. That is specifically what gaslighting is. You get the other person to doubt their reality. Okay. We have seen this a bit from Senate Democrats this particular week, from the House Representatives, congressional Democrats, so both Senate in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, and then Hakeem Jeffries from the House of Representatives. We've also seen this from Governor Newsom of California. And so the gaslighting technique is basically saying, don't believe your lying eyes. Believe what I tell you. Believe what I want you to see. It's my version of reality, is as it's going. The most common ploy being used right now is something like Donald J. Trump and his administration, together with the Republicans, they don't want people in America to have health care. They're going to rip health care away. So what we know from the context is that it's certain healthcare expenditures for illegal immigrants is what the situation is. That's not okay for a lot of people, for a lot of Americans. It's not okay at all. So where's the gaslighting? The gaslighting is, you think it's about healthcare for illegal immigrants. No, it's people. It's healthcare for people. It's healthcare for citizens. So you see how by just changing a few words, the sort of manipulative wordplay, just changing up a few words can change everything. It's a bit of a sleight of hand. Oh, it's not illegal immigrants. It's your fellow Americans. Just changing it up. They're not actually saying technically citizens. They're changing up which word that they use so that they can get you. So they can get you. Pretty sketchy. Pretty sketchy. Do Republicans do the same? This is a good question. Do Republicans do the same? No. What do Republicans do? Republicans argue. In case you haven't noticed, Republicans will argue and Republicans will advocate for their position, for the legality or the constitutionality of their thing, or for basic math. Okay, like, math checks out or the math doesn't check out, and they will tend to try to persuade directly. This is why the authenticity of Donald J. Trump is matchless, is unparalleled, is because it's a what you see is what you get kind of a thing. And it's a very New York negotiation style where his pattern is to ask, insist upon, or otherwise demand 10x, let's say, for simplicity's sake. And the typical negotiation is working that down to 5x or even 2x. Most people would have asked for just x and accepted half of x, 0.5x. So that's a pretty straightforward negotiation strategy. If you read The Art of the Deal, I have. And I read it, by the way, I think I read it in 2016 or 2017, because I was still a little bit of a liberal, a little bit of a libertarian, trying to kind of get my bearings around the new right. And I listened to that book on tape, and everything finally made sense. All finally made sense for me. Then I began watching Scott Adams' podcast, and everything made sense many times over after that. So the persuasion play of Republicans, that's what you can expect. The problem is most Republican persuasion is not persuasive, but most manipulation of the Democrats is persuasive, meaning the Democrats are very good at inflating things to be more valuable than they seem. For example, how valuable it is that we pressure Republicans to give health care to people who need it in this country. But they're just changing the meanings of words. People in this country, you mean illegal immigrants, right? They don't say that part, but they're very good at persuading. I should say ethos-based persuasion and pathos-based persuasion. This is not who we are. Be on the right side of history. That's appealing to ethics, ethos, right? And then the pathos is all the touchy-feelies. Look at this picture of a mother and daughter who are definitely from this country and certainly not from Nicaragua. certainly from this country. Certainly, they're probably citizens, and they live next to you, and they go to your same church, right? 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 Just look at them. They need their health care. They need their health care. Be persuaded. They leave out the part that, of course, that this is an illegal immigrant situation that they're trying to get cash money for. Republicans, unfortunately, rely too much on logos-based persuasion. This is the Ben Shapiro of facts don't care about your feelings. Well, the reality is closer to feelings don't care about your facts. So the Republican reliance on logos-based persuasion, which is like logic, facts, reality-based, it often falls flat and is terribly anti-persuasive, especially when it is total boomer core, right? This is so, well, it used to work in my age in time, you would just put on a good suit and get a good clean haircut and go shake a hand and give a smile and you get a job and work there for 40 years and get a good pension. That hasn't been the reality for 30 years. Okay. So often Republican logos persuasion is not grasping the proper logos. It's based on what worked a very, very, very long time ago and does not work at all to this day. But because it once was true, there's still a sense of it having some vestigial workability, practicality. You see this, Benny Johnson went viral. He posted a video, or a picture rather, of himself and his family. And in the video, or the picture rather, it was himself, his wife, and I think their 4 kids. And the text was something like, just get married, have kids, live happily ever after. That's not what he said, but you get the idea. And he was getting absolutely pilloried by, I would say, members of the New Right. So the New Right, I would consider myself that. We're primarily economic populists and nationalists. So that what those words mean is we are a nation of people who we have responsibility for. And that's nationalist populism. We are a nation of people we are responsible for. It's kind of like dad mode, right? A good dad, a patriarch, right? Who takes care of his people, takes care of his community, takes care of his country as best he can and as he is able at each of those fractal levels, those Zoom levels of society, adopting as much responsibility for as many as he is capable of carrying. That's effectively what patriarchy is. It's dad mode. Okay. And that is the New Right in many respects. It's also aspiring dads, but you do get a lot of immaturity, unfortunately, over there as well. Where there's the right is definitely the side of the testosterone, and you look at the Democrats, even the men are women in terms of their estrogen profile versus their testosterone count. Okay, total T count. Tough situation. Everybody's vegan. Not really, but spiritually so. Hey, I can say that I was a vegan for 10 years. And then I went through a second puberty when I started eating red meat again. That's about almost exactly 6 months ago, April 8th. So that's what, 180 something days now as a meat eater again? It's been quite a transformation. Anyway, coming back to Benny Johnson, and I'll leave you with this. Benny Johnson got absolutely pilloried. Absolutely pilloried. Why did he get absolutely pilloried? He got absolutely pilloried because it was boomer tier traditional conservative advice that was logos-based persuasion. Just do these things, follow this formula, put in this input, and you'll get a wonderful output. Okay, yeah, well, how do you just? You can't just should anything. Okay, you just get married, just find a good person and get married. Really? Really? That's your advice? Just and civilization is saved? Really? So it's a reliance on logos-based persuasion, but the logos itself has expired. We don't live in the boomer core context of just go shake someone's hand and you get the job and then you get the marriage, you get the kids, you get the pension, and everything's fine and safe and dandy. Now the current situation is the cartels are so emboldened that they're putting hits on ICE agents. Can Trump, Obama, Mexico's ISIS? I speak in code for obvious reasons. I'm going to end the stream here and now. You like what you heard? Well, you'll be back. This is Daily Persuasion with Joshua Lysak.